Hey guys, this is Dinosaur Drawer, and today I'm going to show you guys how to draw the WARBAT from Godzilla vs. Kong. So I have done a couple of sketches, I've practiced a lot, but I'm just going to show you guys one. This is a really quick sketch and I actually colored it. It's supposed to look something like this, so this is by far not very detailed at all. It's just a really quick sketch to study the animal and get used to the way to draw it. And I have noticed that it is extremely difficult to get a really good view at his head from different directions. So it is kind of hard to draw the head, but I will do my best. But before we're gonna start the video, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you won't miss a single video, and yeah, leave a like. So, alright. So let's start with drawing his head. Well, let's just draw a circle right over here, about a little left from the middle of the page. So that's gonna be a circle. And also I'm just using a normal regular HB pencil right now to kind of get to bring the message of it's not, you don't have to use a very expensive pencil or anything, or you don't have to use a mechanical pencil at all actually to start to draw. You can just use whatever pencil you like, even a pen if that's the only thing you have. This is a very cheap paper as well. As you can see, I already folded it a little bit and messed the paper up because I try to take it out of a sketchbook that I have. But yeah, so what you want to do, you want to draw this spine, a line for his spine, which goes up at first. So this is going to be his neck. It goes up at first, and it goes down at an angle like this, and then about over here it kind of touches down on the ground, so it's a little bit more straight. We can draw it in a pose like this, so this part will go up, and then this part will kind of go under, and then go up here again. Maybe we can. I think we should make this a different shape, maybe a little bit more like this. That should be shaped a little better. Alright, but we want to first start off with focusing on his head. So don't press down too hard. This is just a sketching phase. So this is basically step one. Just draw a circle for his head and draw the spine line. You don't have to do the same line of action as what I did, but well, you can just replicate what I'm doing right now. So what you want to do now is you want to start over here. You want to kind of do a line that goes about till over there, and then you want to have a bump right here, just like that, and then a line that goes down, another bump right there. So this is gonna be the front of his snout, and it's gonna be very thin, so make sure you go very thin right here. Go about halfway between the circle, the edge of the circle, and this line right here, and then you go out a little bit like this, and that's gonna be his jaw. So over here, what you want to do, you want to draw it in the area for his eye. So this is gonna be his eyebrow. This goes a little bit further up as well. This line goes a little further to the back. So now we're just gonna attach this line, and this line also goes further to the back. Then his eye would be about right here, right there, maybe a little bit more up like that. And then we have, just like with Godzilla and every other Titan, we have a kind of an area for his eye like that. So now we want to draw in his bottom jaw. So his bottom jaw goes sort of like this. So we want to do kind of replicate what we did up here. So just go in, then go down, and then a very short area right here, but it is curved a little bit. And then right there, attached to front of his bottom jaw, are two very big fangs we can see, and that's basically his bottom jaw. Alright, and there are also two fangs right there. So there we have the head of the WARBAT already done, kind of. I want to have this line a little bit straighter because it looks a little better. Alright, so now this is going to be the second step, by the way. We're just going to flesh out everything. So this is going to be his neck. His neck is pretty wide, actually. And then his neck kind of goes on for over here. He has a little area that's a little bit thicker than everything else over here. And then here's going to be his throat. Alright, and then we curve the body. We follow the line just like a snake, the spine, the line of a spine, I mean, just like with a snake. And I'm sorry for if there's gonna be camera shake, because I can imagine that there will be a little bit of camera shake right now. But again, I'm just trying to experiment with how to set up my camera in the best way. Alright, so now we just follow these lines right here, and then over here there will be kind of a loop. Like this. And then over here we can see his tail again. Alright, something like that. And it's not perfect yet, we can still adjust it here and there where we think we need to be adjusting. Alright, so now we need to put in his wings. We need to put his wings into place. So I'm first going to be drawing this one. This one is going to go about like it's going to do something like this, because his head is lower than the top part of his wings. So we need to curve it up like this, and curve it back down again. And his shape of his wings kind of goes something like this. And it attaches to his body about over here. So we need to get the attachment point of his wings in properly, like that. We can get this a little thicker, because it's gonna look a little bit better with the wings in place. Alright, so now we want to do the same thing for the other side, but it's gonna be a little bit smaller than this one. Alright, something like this, and then something like that. And maybe I actually did it a little bit too large over here, so I need to go back and make this seem a little smaller because of the perspective that it's in. Right, so those are going to be his wings basically. So he also has a little bit of well, actually his wings are a little too large, so I need to make them a little bit smaller. So yeah, just go something like this, and then just replicate it on the other side. So we're gonna erase that later. Well, let's erase it now actually. Let's get my eraser real quick. And this line is supposed to go a little bit more at an angle like this. That way it fits in a little better. Oh, I'm sorry. Alright, so this should be fine for now. Now we wanna, alright, so this is step 3, I guess. This is step 3. I'm sorry for the paper, because the paper just, it gets damaged really quickly. I think I'm gonna need different kind of paper for the tutorials in the future. Alright, so step 4 is putting in some more detail and putting in the bone structure of everything and stuff. So what we want to do is we want to start drawing in his bones. So he has kind of, his arm goes like this, and his arm goes like this, and then the final part goes like this. So these are his joints, and we're gonna do that for about, well, let's first get this part in. Alright, so it's gonna be 1, 2, 3 of those curved lines right here, and then there's gonna be 4 smaller curved lines at the smaller section. 1, 2, and they just keep getting smaller. 3, 4. Alright, and now we're gonna do the same thing for this wing over here. 1, 2, 3. Alright, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that's fine. This is about what it's supposed to look like. So now we want to do, we want to kind of connect all of these bone structures to the end of the wing. And by the way, you also want to do, we want to draw in his claws as well. So there's going to be one claw right here. Goes like that. Then we want to draw in this one. 1, 2, 3, and this one is kind of going pretty far out in comparison with everything else. It's a very big one. Something like that. And then the next one will kind of be similar. 1, 2, 3. We're just gonna continue on doing this for all the areas of his wings, and they over here they just get really small. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And over here it doesn't really matter anymore how many of those joints you put in, because there's not gonna be too much of detail. So we want to have a curved line at every joint. Alright, something like that. And now we want to replicate everything on the other side as well. So pay attention to the length of every part. So there's gonna be one over here. This one isn't too long. Well, it is long, but you can, part of it is behind of his body, and yeah. Let's make this one a little longer. 1, 2, 3. And then his claw comes out right there. And then we just sort of replicate everything over here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Alright, that's done a little bit quicker. Now we have to do the same thing. Draw in the joints for every, or the curved kind of a half circle for the where the joints are going to be. Sort of indicate to well, that it's easier to see, and it's also going to add a little bit more detail as well. Alright, and now we want to do the same thing as what we did over here. Let's first finish this side, by the way. Let's see, we are recording for 15 minutes. That's pretty decent, actually. So yeah, the fourth one is going to get out a little bit, and then there's gonna be a claw at the end, like that. And then these one are just getting smaller and smaller. They have about the same, they go out outwards from the wing about the same distance each. Alright, let's do the same thing over here. That seems alright. This one gets out a little bit further. Not as much as this one though. And yeah, then it's all about the same distance. And they just get smaller and smaller. Well, it seems, it looks like this wing is a little bit bigger. In reality, on paper, this wing is bigger, but because I did the perspective a little bit wrong, it looks like this wing is a lot longer, and a lot bigger in size and stuff. So I kind of made a mistake there. I'm not sure if the camera is shaking very violently or not. Kind of curious, so I'll have to see when editing it. Alright, so now what we want to do, we want to do something like this for the connection point of his bone thingy. Alright, and then we draw a line like this, line like that, and then a line like this. And we want to do that for every bone that we can see. Don't press down too hard again, because you don't really have to put down such dark lines at this point. Alright, starting to look good. Might have actually did the other side wrong. Might have messed it up a little bit, but we will have to see how I did. So do the same thing over here as well. Make sure you don't go, those bones are not going to be bigger on this side in comparison with this side, because the perspective is so that this side is closer, and that means that this area will be bigger. So we need to really pay attention to that. And by the way, I'm not using any references or whatsoever. I'm using my other drawing that I drew without a reference as well. So kind of adds up to the difficulty of drawing this. I just remembered it from drawing it a couple of times. Well, let's not say a couple of times, but plenty of times. I drew this. This is actually the third time. I shouldn't actually say this by the way, but this is the third time that I'm trying to do this tutorial because I messed up so many times. So yeah. Alright. I'm actually afraid to put down shadow on this drawing because every time I did this tutorial, everything went well until I decided to put down some shadow. Alright, as you can see, it looks like this is a lot smaller than this area right there. So what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna try to do at least, is I'm gonna try and make this a little more like that. Maybe a little bit more in a curve over here to try and bevel it a little bit. Now his body just looks a little bit more straight. We'll have to deal with it, I guess. Alright, so what we have to do now is put in a little bit more detail. Just put in a couple of lines. Just a little bit of shadow would be okay, but don't go too much overboard because you will ruin the drawing. Unless you are an extremely talented drawer, unlike me, you might be able to accomplish wonders. While it would be a wonder for me to get this right. So you can try and use a little bit of shadow, but I wouldn't go too overboard with it. I'm just trying to get some detail in, but not too much. Alright. At this point, oh, by the way, I think I forgot something. Yeah, I did. So I need to erase this area because now he also has a second pair of wings. Well, I wouldn't say wings, but they are just kind of like well, I'm not sure what it's called or anything, or what you could call it, but what you have to do is you have to draw a line like this and then draw a very, don't press down too hard on your pencil, just a very loose line over here, and it ends about over there, and then just draw a line until over there. And then over here we're gonna do the same thing because he has two of those apparently, and we want to follow the same line, and this one ends about over there. Alright, and you want to do the same thing on this side. You want to draw something like this, and then just go down until over there, and you draw something in like this, and you just make it disappear behind his body. Alright, so now you want to kind of create a shape like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just doing it really quickly. Same thing over here as well. And over here as well. Alright. I am not sure what those are or how you could call it, but it's just like another pair of wings somehow. It sort of looks like it. Alright, so now let's keep on going with doing a little bit more detail on his belly. Alright, and I want to draw a little bit of a thicker line over here because this part is touching down on the ground, so there's gonna be some shadow there. He also has a couple of Audrey lines. It almost looks like the T-Rex lines that you see on his throat and everything. Looks like the WARBAT has them as well. Let's not overdo it too much. Just gonna put a little bit more detail in there. Let's darken this area just a little bit. And so now we could put in a little bit of shadow on his wings. So what I'm doing is I'm just drawing a couple of lines very close together to create a look of detail, but I don't want to go too dark instantly. Just want to have the illusion of there being a little bit more shadow than just it just being white. I'm sorry. Alright. Doing the same thing over here. And I might do this part in time lapse because there's not really much to say at this point. Alright, so there we are. We did a little bit of shadowing, and we shouldn't forget about the nostril right here. That's on his snout. Alright, so let's darken the inside of his mouth a little bit. That way it's a little bit easier to see the transition between his teeth and stuff. I'm just gonna erase this area a little bit to make his jaw stand out a little bit better. Like that. Alright. So now we could do actually the same thing by... It's almost like it looks like detail, but it isn't detail. You know what I mean? By adding a couple of hedge crossing lines, but these aren't really hedge crossing lines to be honest, but they look pretty decent, I would say. It's just a better way to add detail and shadowing at the same time, I guess. So yeah, let's just focus on the rest of his body first. Well, let's just get this in a little bit more and make it look like there's a little bit more going on right there. It sort of fades in the sunlight. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so yeah. There's gonna be shadow over here. Because of the way that the sun will be about over here. So that means that there's gonna be... Well, let's first erase this because it's really messy looking already. Let's make it a little bit more... a little bit better, a little bit more clearly to see everything. So there's gonna be a little bit of shadow over here. And by the way, he has some lines going on at his eyebrows right there. Then he has a couple of lines going on like that, and a line running straight in between them. Alright, so that's looking pretty promising. Let's just get a little bit more of those lines in right here. Now let's give this part of his body a little bit more detail as well. So at this point, the scales, the direction of the lines change because we are slowly getting to the outside over here, because this is still the underside of his body. Because of the way that we drew it in, direction changes a little bit. Alright, let's see. And there is supposed to be a highlight because of the fact that it's going to be in the sun. And then over here it's supposed to be really, really dark. So it's starting to get a little bit darker over here. Alright, we want to continue on drawing these lines for his underside area. Almost like snake scales. They almost look like snake scales. So there's going to be shadow over here because his body is touching down on the ground here as well. And then let's just draw in his tail, like so. This needs to be a little bit more natural. A little bit more like this. Alright, that's starting to look quite alright. So then there will be a little bit of shadow over here. And we can draw in the rest of his tail, and his tail is sort of coming up here like this, and that makes this area a little darker. We don't need to get into too much detail for his tail. This will be just fine. There's going to be a little bit more shadow over here as well. Alright. So I would say we are almost done with WARBAT. Looks pretty cool at this point, but we still need to erase this in between each wing part. Alright. And we also need to shadow this a little bit better. So there will be shadow over here. Depending on the shape of the of every area, there's gonna be more or less shadow. So in between, there's gonna be a little bit more shadow, like what I'm doing right now. Alright, something like that should be fine. And do the same thing on the smaller one. It also seems like when you're using an when you're using a traditional pencil, it seems like it is easier to shadow larger areas because the tip of your pencil is just so much more finer, so much less finer than with a mechanical pencil. Because with a mechanical pencil, the tip is so fine that it takes a really long time to color in larger areas. Well, I guess it depends on the pencil you're using. And this also casts a little bit of shadow on the rest of his body. We have to sort of finish it with those cross hatching lines. And now do the same thing on this side, but this side doesn't have to be too detailed because it's just there and you don't really see too much of it. Alright, so what you could do is you could just draw in a little bit more detail at his wings by putting in a couple more lines like what I'm doing right now. They don't need to be too detailed at all. It just gives it a little bit of an accent, you know, a little bit of tone to it. It's not just completely white this way. And I actually should have started on this side, but yeah. Alright, so I wanted to put in a little bit of a something so that I can know who's actually watching my full tutorials. If you made it until this part, make sure you put in the comments, well, let's say just a random word like yeah, let's just put in the comments red car or something, and that way you are showing me that you are actually watching my full videos. because there's a lot of people that skip ahead until they see the end result. They don't actually watch my tutorials, which is fine. I mean, like, you can these tutorials are there for the people that actually want to learn how to draw them. And I guess I'm sort of at intermediate level of drawing, so people that are just around my skill level of drawing, they sort of get a good look at how I do things, and maybe they can learn something from it, because I still learn from even you guys, to be honest. There are a lot of you guys that put down videos or drawings, and I enjoy watching them, to be honest, and see what you guys are doing that I'm not, and that way I'm trying to improve on everything. When it comes to learning, I am really willing to get better at stuff. Alright, so I would say that this drawing would be about done at this point. Let's maybe we can add a little bit more detail to the back end of his body. Just putting in some random lines. Don't really mean anything, but it's a illusion of detail being there. Okay, so I would say this drawing is about done. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment below what you think about the video and the drawing in general, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you won't miss a single video. So this was Dinosaur Drawer, and goodbye.